Hey y'all. So today I want to talk about beneficiaries and who beneficiaries are and what does that look like? How does it work? Right? So for those of you that don't know, my name is Sheree Marie and I am a life insurance strategy consultant. I paid and denied millions of dollars in life insurance claims for a decade, and from that experience I learned that most people don't know about their life insurance, and not only do they not know, but they're also not sharing details about their policy with their beneficiaries, which is a big no-no. It causes major problems that could even mean that your coverage could be denied, right? So I want to talk to beneficiaries today. So what is a beneficiary? Let's start with the definition. A beneficiary is someone that you name to be a recipient of your life insurance. So if you have life insurance and when you pass away, you have named somebody who you want to receive that money. And typically people name people that are close to them. It could be a spouse, it could be a child, it could be, and let me back up a second, anybody can be your beneficiary. Absolutely anybody. There are no limits, and literally no limits, because I once paid a claim to a cat. Yes, you heard me correctly. I once paid out a life insurance claim to a cat, a pet cat. And how that worked was this lady created a trust and she named her trust. In her trust, she named her trustee as, her cat. And in there, she had instructions on what she wanted the proceeds to be used for. She wanted $500 to be used on clothes. I'm making this up because I don't remember exactly, but she wanted a certain amount to be used for clothes for the cat. She wanted a certain amount to be used for food for the cat. All these things she had in her trust, and her cat was her beneficiary ultimately. So you can literally name anyone, right? But most people will name the person that would be in charge of managing their final affairs, or if you have life insurance for the purposes of, your grandchildren, the legacy in your family, and you want to pass that down to them. People do that as well. So today I really want to talk to the adult children. If you are an adult child, just say to yourself, that's me. That's me. I'm an adult. I'm an adult child. My parents are still living, one or both, and she's talking to me. If you are a spouse or a partner, I want to talk to you, and I want you to say to yourself, that's me. I'm a spouse. I'm a partner. Because here's the thing. If something, God forbid, happened to your parent or your spouse or partner at this very moment, if you would be the first person that someone called, maybe the hospital or even a police officer, you are considered the next of kin. You're the first person they contact to share the bad news with, and you're also the first person they ask, okay, so when you picking up this body, right? What is the name of the funeral home that is coming to pick up this body? What time will they be there? You immediately have to start making decisions. If that is you, I'm talking to you. Because most of you don't realize, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but most of you don't realize that if you don't know details about your spouse or parent's life insurance, if you don't know, who to call to initiate a claim, if you don't even know the insurance company's name that their coverage is with, if you don't know what the exclusions are in their policy, guess what? Just guess. Take a wild guess. I'll wait a second. Then that means there's a chance you could be paying for their final affairs out of pocket. dipping into your own savings, your own child's college tuition fund, withdrawing from your 401k, being taxed, taking the penalty. We've all heard the stories. I've heard them. You don't want that to be you. Okay, so what does it look like to be a beneficiary? In my definition, a beneficiary is an educated adult who has put a plan in place. Because just having life insurance and just naming a beneficiary, anybody could do that. That's the easy part. What work have you put in, right? It's just like somebody who has lost 30 pounds and they're like, okay, I am eating less calories and I'm gonna just focus on, lowering my intake. That's the easy part. Starving yourself, I mean, it's not really easy, but that's the easy part. Why aren't you working out? Why aren't you putting in the work? Because what happens is if you lower your intake too much, you actually lose muscle, right? And muscle is something that you can't get back. Once it's gone, it's gone. I mean, you could get a little bit back over time, but it takes so long, and that's really not what you want. But if you're changing your diet and you're pairing that with good exercise, increasing your water intake, that's a good little jam. That's a nice combination, and you are bound to see results, right? So you got to have the life insurance, you got to name the beneficiary, and you also, as the beneficiary also needs to know about this policy too. So when I say that I'm talking to adult children and spouses, it's because if you know that you are considered the next of kin and you will be responsible for paying for someone's final affairs, then I now put the responsibility on you. Because guess what? If your spouse or your parent doesn't tell you anything about their coverage, you only know that, yeah, policy might exist, yeah, they got a little something, but they don't tell you anything else. And when their time comes, you still know nothing, you can't really blame them. And even if you do, you're still responsible for paying for it. You're still responsible for figuring this thing out. You can't tell a funeral home, well, I don't know, because when they were alive, they didn't share anything with me. You can't blame the insurance company that they denied your coverage because there was something in the policy that you weren't aware of. You can't tell the insurance company, well, they didn't tell me, so because I didn't know, you should still print me a check. Does not work like that. Doesn't work like that, right? It doesn't. So because it would be your responsibility, it's going to fall on you regardless, get ahead of the game. Be intentional. Learn all that you can learn about your parent or your parent or spouse's life insurance. You actually want to initiate those conversations because you know that's going to fall on you. Anybody that is, I'll change right now and speak directly to adult children. Anybody that is, a caregiver or has an aging parent, that the thought of, when their time comes, or the thought of their time being near, crosses your mind very often. And the next question you ask yourself is, do they have life insurance? Because I don't want to be screwed when the time comes. I don't have tens of thousands of dollars put aside just to bury them. Even if you have it, that could be used for something else. Maybe you're saving for something. Maybe you're trying to buy a house. Maybe you're saving for your kids' college tuition. Whatever that may look like, you should never have to reach into your own pocket to pay for someone's final affairs, because you could have planned better ahead of time. And that's what I'm here to tell you. How beneficiaries work is you are responsible for managing someone's final affairs. You always want to try to, honor their final wishes, do things the right way, but also do things within what you can afford. And It's one thing to lose a loved one and be grieving. You shouldn't then also be burdened with financial expenses or the thought of how am I going to pay for this? And now I need to make some different decisions. Now we've planned all our life. We thought we were going to have a traditional funeral, whatever that might look like for you and your family. And now we have to scale back. Now things aren't going to go as planned, right? You don't want that. Losing someone is hard enough. You just want to grieve. Have that service. Let that person rest and grieve. Nothing else should come in between that. Nothing else. So I want you to understand that as someone who could be the next of kin, as someone who would be a part of a group of family members making decisions on behalf of someone's final affairs, whether it be, financial decisions, organizing, putting together music, a pamphlet, an obituary, whatever that looks like, if that would fall on you in any way, I need you to be intentional. I need you to ask the right questions. And maybe you don't know what that looks like. Rarely will you ever hear of someone who has been a beneficiary several dozen times. Like, that's a once in a lifetime, maybe a handful of times experience. And so I don't fault you for not knowing, but you have to ask those questions, right? It's important and it's necessary. And many people don't realize that there's a need for this. It's an unrealized need. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to leave your questions in the comments. What questions do you have when it comes to the beneficiary? Do you want to know the process? Do you want to know more in depth of what is expected of you as the beneficiary, what your role is? How can you guarantee that life insurance will be paid out to you? Drop your comments below and I will answer them. And depending on the responses, I might create something for you guys. Maybe a checklist, or we'll have to see. But make sure you drop those questions below. Okay? Have a good day, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.